The California sun beats mercilessly down on Concord's jogging trail. Kathy Lorick, an executive secretary with kind eyes and gentle smile, steps away from her cramped office cubicle. She needs air. She needs peace. The trail calls to her like an old friend. Her phone buzzes. Her husband's voice crackles across continents from Europe, warm and familiar. They chat about dinner plans, the kids' soccer practice, his tedious business meetings. Ordinary conversations that feel extraordinary when you're apart. Then the world splits in half. Her husband hears it first, a sharp gasp that turns his blood to ice. Terror incarnate traveling through phone lines. Then nothing. Just dead silence that screams louder than any scream ever could. 20 minutes later, a police officer follows a crimson trail painted across concrete. Blood droplets lead him down an embankment like breadcrumbs in a nightmare fairy tale. What he discovers at the trail's end will haunt his dreams forever. Kathy lies broken in a pool of red, clothes torn and scattered like confetti at death's celebration. A jagged fence post lies nearby, its metal edges decorated with violence. The officer knows immediately. This isn't just murder. This is predation. The ambulance screams toward the hospital, but death has already claimed its prize. Technology becomes their first weapon. Kathy's missing cell phone calls out from beyond the grave. Someone used it after her heart stopped beating. The call's traced to Juan Sanchez, 23 years old, and claiming innocence. His story sounds reasonable. Cycling the trail, spotting the abandoned phone, pocketing it like any opportunistic finder. But investigators know murder's mathematics. Only the killer could possess that device so quickly. Yet, Sanchez passes every test they devise. Voice analysis, DNA comparison, polygraph examinations. Science screams his innocence, while logic whispers his guilt. The case dangles in limbo until witnesses emerge from the shadows. 6 different people saw him that day. A figure so wrong, he branded himself into their memories. Standing by the fence line, babbling about little fishes in the canal, trying desperately to appear normal while radiating pure menace. White male, 6 feet tall, early 30s, heavyset but soft. Disheveled hair the color of dirty straw, and eyes that held secrets too dark to speak. Homeless, probably. Dangerous, definitely. Police sketch artist Gil Zamora works his magic with 2 witnesses who've never met. Through hypnotic relaxation, he extracts memories stroke by careful stroke. When the drawings emerge, they're identical twins separated only by sunglasses. 2 independent minds seeing the same monster. Then comes the breakthrough that changes everything. Police dogs follow scent trails from the crime scene straight to a residential neighborhood. Background checks reveal Mark Fisher, a violent man with a resume written in blood and broken bones. Fisher matches the composite perfectly. 3 witnesses identify his photograph without hesitation. The evidence builds like a tower of certainty, until reality delivers a devastating uppercut. Police arrive at Fisher's door to find his relative in tears. The devastating news hits like a sledgehammer. Fisher had jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge just yesterday. He was dead. The timing screams guilt. Brutal murder followed by immediate suicide. Textbook patterns of remorse and self-destruction. Searching Fisher's room only strengthens their conviction. Sunglasses matching the sketch. Blood-stained clothing. A newspaper opened to the murder article with the suspect's sketch circled in red ink. But forensic science has other plans. DNA analysis delivers the most devastating blow of all. Mark Fisher's genetic profile doesn't match the biological evidence from Kathy's rape kit. despite every piece of circumstantial evidence pointing toward him like accusatory fingers. Science declares his innocence. An innocent man lies dead by his own hand, while the real killer walks free, capable of striking again. The investigation crashes back to zero. Desperation drives investigators to unprecedented measures. They institute a massive DNA dragnet, testing 42 homeless men with violent histories. It becomes the largest reference sample testing in the laboratory's existence. Every single test comes back negative. The killer remains a ghost. 9 days after the murder, salvation arrives in an unexpected package. A mountain biker contacts police after recognizing the composite sketch. According to his account, he had encountered this man on the trail that day, sharing cigarettes and conversation just 200 yards from where Kathy died. The suspect had requested cigarettes, smoking two while the biker smoked one. Their conversation had covered nothing important. Typical stranger interaction. The biker had not learned the man's name. But his account included one crucial detail. The man had identified himself as a telemarketer in Walnut Creek. Investigators find those discarded cigarettes still lying on the ground 9 days later. 9 days of sun, wind, rain, and contamination. According to DNA analysts, environmental exposure usually destroys genetic evidence completely. But sometimes miracles favor the persistent. The cigarette butts yield a perfect DNA profile matching Kathy's rape kit exactly. Now they have the killer's genetic signature. They just need to find the man. The telemarketing lead proves golden. Only one such firm operates in Walnut Creek, and the manager immediately identifies their suspect. Robert Frazier, a violent drifter with a history of robberies and prison assaults. A man who quit his job around the time of Kathy's murder and vanished without a trace. Frazier's ex-girlfriend provides his toothbrush, a contaminated sample containing multiple DNA profiles. But buried within that genetic mixture, scientists find Robert Frazier's unique signature. Most damning of all, they discover Frazier's DNA on the bloody fence post used to murder Kathy. Skin cells transferred during the violent assault that ended her life. The National Criminal Database reveals Frazier's location: a jail cell in Indiana, arrested for a simple traffic violation. California investigators booked the next flight east, carrying folders thick with evidence and hearts heavy with anticipation. The jail interview room is sterile and fluorescent bright. When Robert Frazier walks in, he defies every expectation. No nervous energy, no defensive posturing. Instead, he appears remarkably calm, cooperative, almost friendly. Frazier talks about finding religion, speaks of redemption and second chances. He seems genuinely helpful, answering questions with apparent confusion. Yes, he'd heard about the murder on television. Such a tragedy, he says. Yes, he remembered the victim's picture, such a beautiful woman. The investigators exchange glances. This isn't the confrontation they expected. Doubt creeps in despite overwhelming scientific evidence. Then he makes a fatal mistake. Asked to describe what he remembered about Kathy from TV coverage, Frazier's helpful nature betrays him. He mentions her long brown hair, her distinctive freckles, intimate details painting a picture of someone he observed closely, personally. Information never broadcast, never released to the media. The room temperature drops. How could he know these details unless he'd seen Kathy Lorick in person? Unless he'd stood close enough to count freckles across her face? When confronted with DNA evidence linking him to both the murder weapon and the sexual assault, Frazier's carefully constructed facade crumbles. His religious composure vanishes, replaced by desperate scrambling for explanations that make no sense. His pathetic defense: maybe he'd urinated in the area previously. somehow leaving genetic evidence at a crime scene he claims never to have visited. Even Frazier seems to realize how hollow it sounds. The evidence paints a clear picture of calculated evil. Kathy walking alone, talking to her husband, completely unaware of the predator watching her. Frazier choosing his victim because no witnesses were visible. The brutal assault with a broken fence post, the sexual attack. The final deadly blows that ended an innocent woman's life. All because Robert Frazier saw an opportunity and decided one woman's life meant nothing compared to his momentary desires. The jury agrees. First-degree murder and rape convictions lead to a death sentence. But justice served comes at a cost that can never be repaid. Kathy's family struggles with the senselessness. No clear motive, no remorse from her killer. No explanation for why their loved one had to die. Just the random intersection of evil and innocence on what should have been an ordinary lunch break. Without DNA technology, Robert Frazier would have vanished into America's vast landscape of forgotten men. Instead, science delivered justice for a woman whose only crime was taking a walk on a beautiful day. The case stands as both triumph and tragedy. Proof that modern forensics can catch killers who once would have escaped, but also a stark reminder that monsters walk among us, waiting for the perfect moment to destroy innocent lives.